First contact reversed. High Admiral Vexterra stood motionless before the Celestial Observatory's quantum display, her crystalline appendages radiating waves of confusion. In her 3 centuries of serving as the Galactic Conclave's first contact specialist, she had never encountered anything like this. The vessel approaching their station defied conventional physics. Its hull, a patchwork of materials that shouldn't work together, pulsed with energy signatures that made their most advanced sensors stutter. But most perplexing of all was the fact that this ship, this impossible human ship, had found them at all. Admiral, her second-in-command, Science Director Ziller, moved forward on his gravity field. The vessel is hailing us. They're using 17 different communication protocols simultaneously. 17. Vexterra's crystalline form flickered with surprise. That's not possible. The power requirements alone. They appear to be running them off something that our sensors identify as a modified food preparation device. Ziller's bioluminescent patterns shifted to display his confusion. Before Vexterra could respond, every screen in the observatory lit up simultaneously. The human vessel, designation HES Prometheus, was now broadcasting on all frequencies, in all known languages, and somehow even in a few extinct ones. Celestial Observatory Station. A calm human voice echoed through the chamber. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the human scientific ship Prometheus. We apologize for the dramatic entrance, but we've learned that subtlety is sometimes overrated. Vexterra watched as the human ship oriented itself perfectly relative to their station, using maneuvering techniques that their physics said should tear the ship apart. Captain Chen, she responded, maintaining her diplomatic composure. Your presence here is unexpected. This is a restricted sector of space. Our station's location is classified at the highest levels. A sound emerged from the communication channel, what their xenological databases identified as human laughter. Yes, about that, Captain Chen replied. We actually found you by accident. Turns out when you're trying really hard to hide something using advanced technology, it creates a sort of void in space. To our crude instruments, it looks like a big sign saying "nothing to see here," which, naturally, made us very curious. The admission sent ripples of shock through the observatory staff. The Celestial Observatory's cloaking systems were the most sophisticated in known space, developed over millennia. And these humans had found them because the hiding place was too perfect. Captain, Vexterra began carefully. Your vessel's construction and operation appear to violate several fundamental laws of physics. Oh, those aren't violations, Chen responded cheerfully. We prefer to think of them as creative interpretations. For instance, that thing your sensors are probably freaking out about in our engine room. That's just Dave's coffee maker. Well, it was a coffee maker. Now it also generates localized time dilation fields. Completely by accident, I assure you. Ziller's bioluminescent patterns nearly short-circuited. You weaponized a beverage preparation device. Weaponized is such a harsh word, Chen replied. We simply noticed that the quantum fluctuations from Dave's special brew had some interesting effects on space-time. One thing led to another, and well, here we are. Vexterra's crystalline form vibrated with a mixture of horror and fascination. These humans weren't just operating outside established scientific principles. They were actively improvising with the fundamental forces of the universe. But we're not here for a technical discussion. Chen's tone suddenly turned serious. We've detected something out there in the deep void. Something that all your advanced sensors miss because they're too perfect, too refined to see the chaos. And it's heading straight for populated space. The observatory fell silent. Vexterra processed the implications of this statement. A species that could turn food preparation devices into space-time manipulators had found something that frightened them. Perhaps, Vexterra suggested, we should discuss this in person. Though I must warn you, our docking protocols are quite specific and... The sound of a transport materialization interrupted her. Captain Chen now stood in the middle of their secure observatory, holding what appeared to be a steaming cup of the beverage they called coffee. "Sorry," she smiled. "Dave's coffee maker doubles as a teleporter on Thursdays. Don't ask why only Thursdays. We're still figuring that part out." Looking at the human captain, standing there casually violating their most secure protocols while drinking a beverage that apparently bent space-time, Vexterra realized that everything the Conclave thought they knew about humanity was wrong. These weren't primitive newcomers to the galactic stage. They were something else entirely, a species that had looked at the laws of physics not as absolute rules, but as polite suggestions. And now they had come to warn the galaxy about something that even they found disturbing. The warning. The Celestial Observatory's Grand Conference Chamber, designed to accommodate beings from across the galaxy, had never felt so small. Captain Chen's holographic presentation filled the space with images that seemed to defy reality itself. Tears in spacetime that shouldn't exist, energy patterns that contradicted every known law of physics, and shadows that moved between the stars. "We call them void weavers," Chen explained, taking another sip of her reality-bending coffee. Though, honestly, that's just because terrifying space monsters that eat dimensions for breakfast was too long for the official reports. Admiral Vexterra's crystalline form pulsed with concern as she studied the data. "Our sensors have detected no such anomalies in any sector." "Exactly," Chen nodded. "That's the problem. Your sensors are too good. They automatically filter out anything that doesn't fit your understanding of how the universe should work. It's like having a camera that's so perfect it automatically edits out anything it thinks is a flaw in the picture." Science Director Ziller moved forward, his bioluminescent patterns forming complex equations. "That's not possible. Our detection systems are based on fundamental universal constants." "Ah." Chen smiled. "But what if the constants aren't so constant?" She gestured to her chief engineer, Dr. Marcus Wong, who had been quietly reprogramming one of the observatory's sensor arrays using what appeared to be a modified gaming console. "Watch this," Wong said, pressing what was clearly an ancient video game controller. The observatory's main display flickered, and suddenly the void of space transformed. Between the stars, shapes moved, vast, geometric patterns that hurt the mind to look at directly. By the first light, Zyler whispered, his patterns dimming in shock. "How long have these things been out there?" "Hard to say," Chen replied grimly. "But here's the real kicker. They're not just passing through. They're hunting." "Show them the Artemis footage, Marcus." Wong pressed another button on his improvised control system. The display showed a human research vessel, or rather, what was left of one. The ship had been turned inside out, not just physically but dimensionally. Parts of it existed in spaces that shouldn't be possible. "The Artemis was our most advanced research vessel," Chen continued, her voice tight. "State-of-the-art everything. The Void Weavers didn't just destroy it. They unraveled it. Turned all that perfect technology against itself. But our older ships, the ones held together with patch fixes and jury-rigged solutions, they tend to fare better. The Void Weavers seem to have trouble with things that don't follow logical patterns." Admiral Vexterra's crystalline structure vibrated with dawning comprehension. "You're saying these entities, they feed on order?" "Close," Wong interjected, still tinkering with his modified controller. "They feed on predictability. The more perfectly something follows the rules of physics, the easier it is for them to take it apart. Your civilization has spent millennia perfecting your technology, making it more elegant, more efficient, more predictable. You've basically set out an all-you-can-eat buffet," Chen added. "And they're heading this way." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Galactic Conclave's greatest achievement, their mastery over the fundamental forces of the universe, had become their greatest vulnerability. "There's more," Chen said, her expression grave. "We've tracked their movement patterns. They're not random. They're spiraling inward, heading toward the most developed regions of space, toward the worlds with the most advanced, most orderly technology." "How?" Vexterra paused, her crystalline form shifting colors with emotion. How do you fight something that turns order against itself? Chen's smile returned, but this time it held a hint of something else, that uniquely human mixture of determination and barely controlled chaos. That's why we're here. You see, humanity has a proud tradition of doing things we're not supposed to be able to do, of making things work that shouldn't work. Every human achievement, from our first steps into space to Dave's reality-bending coffee maker, came from looking at the rules and saying, maybe not. She gestured to Wong, who had somehow managed to make the observatory sensors work better by reducing their accuracy. We can't beat the void waivers with perfect technology, but maybe, just maybe, we can beat them with duct tape, crazy ideas, and solutions so illogical they loop back around to working. You want us to make our technology worse? Xyler asked, his patterns displaying disbelief. Not worse, Chen corrected. More human, less perfect, more alive. The void weavers expect order. Let's show them chaos. As if to emphasize her point, Dave's coffee maker chose that moment to teleport itself into the chamber, despite it being neither Thursday nor physically possible. And as Vexterra watched it pour a cup of coffee that simultaneously existed in 3 different quantum states, she realized that humanity's seemingly chaotic approach to technology might be the galaxy's only hope. The question was, could a civilization built on perfect order learn to embrace imperfection before it was too late? Unconventional alliance. The Celestial Observatory's primary research lab had been transformed into what Admiral Vexterra could only describe as organized chaos. Human engineers worked alongside conclave scientists, their approaches to technology clashing yet somehow complementing each other in ways that defied explanation. Dr. Marcus Wong sat cross-legged on the ceiling, a feat made possible by what he called gravity graffiti, small hand-drawn symbols that somehow modified local gravitational fields. Below or above, depending on perspective, Science Director Ziller watched in fascination as his perfectly calibrated quantum harmonizer was being modified with parts from what appeared to be a human entertainment system. The trick, Wong explained, manipulating holographic controls with one hand while eating something called a burrito with the other, is to make the technology just random enough to confuse the void weavers, but not so random that it stops working entirely. That makes no logical sense, Xyler protested, his bioluminescent patterns flickering with frustration. Exactly, Wong beamed. That's why it's going to work. At the center of the lab, Captain Chen and Admiral Vexterra reviewed the latest sensor data from the modified arrays. The Void Weaver's approach was now clearly visible, vast geometric shapes that seemed to fold through dimensions that shouldn't exist. We've got maybe 3 days before they reach the first major conclave world, Chen noted, her coffee cup somehow remaining full despite hours of continuous drinking. How's the fleet modification coming along? Vexterra's crystalline form shifted through various frequencies of concern. We've attempted to implement your suggestions, but deliberately introducing imperfections into our ship systems goes against everything we believe in. Sometimes the best solutions are the ones that feel wrong, Chen replied. Show her the test results, Marcus. Wong gestured with his burrito, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the lab. It showed 2 conclave scout ships, one standard, one modified according to human specifications. The unmodified ship's perfect energy signature blazed like a beacon. The modified ship, however, appeared to blur at the edges of reality, its signature shifting unpredictably. The human modifications reduce our ship's efficiency by 47%, Xyler noted disapprovingly, and make them 100% harder to predict, Wong countered. We've introduced controlled chaos into your systems, random power fluctuations, asymmetrical shield harmonics, and my personal favorite, a subroutine that occasionally plays old human pop music through the quantum field generators. The music is necessary, Vexterra asked, her tone suggesting she already dreaded the answer. Probably not, Chen grinned, But it really confuses the hell out of everything's sensors, and the crew seems to enjoy it. Plus, you haven't lived until you've seen a Void Weaver try to process "Never Gonna Give You Up" played through quantum harmonics. The discussion was interrupted by a series of alarms. Dave's coffee maker, which had somehow integrated itself into the observatory's main computer, began producing readouts along with its usual reality-bending beverage. "They've changed course," Chen announced, her playful demeanor vanishing. "They've detected our modifications, instead of continuing toward the core worlds. They're heading straight for us," Vexterra finished, her crystalline structure pulsing with alarm. "Good," Wang declared, surprising everyone as he dropped from the ceiling to land gracefully on a desk. "That means they're interested. Or worried. Either way, they're reacting to uncertainty for the first time." "How does this good?" Zyler demanded, his patterns displaying clear distress. "The observatory's defenses are about to get a human upgrade," Chen interrupted, pulling out what appeared to be an ancient Earth tablet computer held together with adhesive strips and hope. Marcus showed them Operation Chaos Dance. Wang's face lit up as he began rapidly typing on his jury-rigged control system. Around the observatory, systems that had run perfectly for centuries began to shift and change. Predictable energy patterns became erratic. Perfect geometric formations developed deliberate flaws. And through it all, a faint beat of Earth music pulsed through the quantum fields. "What we've learned about the Void Weavers," Chen explained as she helped reconfigure the observatory's main defense grid, "is that they're not just drawn to order, they're dependent on it. They don't just prefer predictability, they need it to process reality. So we're going to show them something they've never seen before, a station that runs on controlled chaos. The human way," Wang added proudly. Vexterra watched as her perfect, orderly observatory transformed into something new, something that straddled the line between brilliant and insane. Part of her crystalline consciousness rebelled against the violation of everything she knew about technology and physics. But another part, a part that had grown stronger since the humans arrived, recognized something profound in their approach. The Void Weavers were coming, drawn to their experiment in chaos. The question was, would their human-inspired madness prove to be genius, or had they just painted an even bigger target on themselves? As if in answer, Dave's coffee maker chose that moment to transform the entire command center's ceiling into a swirling quantum-like show, accompanied by something the humans called disco music. And somehow, watching her perfectly ordered world dissolve into beautiful chaos, Admiral Vexterra felt something she hadn't experienced in centuries. Hope. The hunt begins. The celestial observatory no longer resembled the bastion of order it had been mere days ago. Its once perfect geometric lines now rippled with controlled instability, quantum fluctuations pulsing through its structure like a heartbeat. At its heart, Captain Chen stood before a display that showed reality fragmenting around them, the Void Weaver's approach visible as tears in the fabric of space-time itself. "They're testing our defenses," Wang reported from his new command station, a hybrid of advanced conclave technology and what appeared to be 3 different gaming consoles duct-taped together. "Trying to find patterns they can exploit." "Good luck with that," Chen smiled, taking a sip from her coffee cup, which now floated in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "Even we don't know what half these systems are going to do moment to moment." Admiral Vexterra's crystalline form shifted through spectrums of concern as she monitored the situation. The observatory's transformation had been complete, and completely mad. Human chaos theory had been integrated into every system, creating what Chen called a quantum jazz improvisation of technology. "Multiple dimensional breaches detected," Zyler announced, his bioluminescent patterns flickering rapidly. They're trying to surround us." "No," Chen corrected, studying the patterns with an experienced eye. "They're trying to understand us. This is new to them. A structure that should be perfect and predictable, suddenly dancing to its own random rhythm." The first attack came without warning. A tendril of void stuff reached through a tear in reality, attempting to unravel the observatory's outer hull. But where it expected to find ordered patterns to decrypt and destroy, it encountered human-modified chaos fields. "Ha!" Wang shouted triumphantly. They tried to quantum decrypt the hull's molecular structure, but hit my randomized shield harmonics instead. You can't unravel what's already unraveled. The tendril recoiled, its perfect geometric patterns disturbed for the first time in eons. Around the observatory, more tiers opened as the Void Weavers launched a coordinated assault. Each probe sought order and found chaos. Each attempt to impose mathematical perfection was met with human-engineered imperfection. "They're adapting," Vexterra observed, watching as the entities began to shift their attack patterns, attempting to find logic in our defenses. "Time to show them our next trick," Chen announced. "Marcus, initiate Operation Disco Inferno." Wang's fingers flew across his improvised control panel. "Dave's coffee maker is charged and ready. Quantum field generators are at maximum randomization. Starting the playlist now." Before Vexterra could ask what a playlist was, the observatory's defense grid came alive with a new kind of energy. Human music, carefully chosen for its mathematical complexity and emotional resonance, began pumping through the quantum field generators. The chaos fields around the station started pulsing in time with the beat, creating patterns that were at once structured and completely unpredictable. "The music creates a framework," Chen explained, seeing Vexterra's confusion. "Something that feels like it should have rules and patterns, but actually rides the line between order and chaos, like jazz or human history or my first apartment's wiring." The Void Weavers' response was immediate and violent. Their geometric forms twisted as they tried to process this new assault on their senses. Every time they began to understand one pattern in the music, it would shift to something new, the quantum fields around the station dancing to an ever-changing rhythm. "They're pulling back," Zyler reported, his patterns showing both relief and disbelief. "The music, it's actually hurting them." "Not hurting," Wang corrected, still manning his jury-rigged station. "Confusing. They're like perfect mathematicians trying to understand why humans tap their feet to a beat. It's pattern recognition overload." But their victory was short-lived. The Void Weavers, ancient and intelligent, began to adapt. Their forms shifted, becoming more fluid, less rigidly geometric. They were learning, evolving in response to the human chaos. "They're trying to match our randomization," Chen observed, her expression serious. "Time for Phase 2. Admiral, is your crew ready?" Vexterra's form pulsed with determination. Over the past days, her people had learned to embrace uncertainty in ways she never thought possible. "We are ready, Captain. Though I still have doubts about this plan." "Good," Chen grinned. "Doubt is human. Doubt means you're thinking for yourself instead of following rules. Speaking of which, Marcus, initiate the coffee gambit." Dave's coffee maker, now integrated into the heart of the observatory systems, began to glow with impossible energies. The device that had accidentally bent reality through the power of caffeine and human ingenuity was about to be used as a weapon of mass unpredictability. As the Void Weavers closed in for what they thought would be their final assault, the humans prepared to show them why challenging humanity's capacity for controlled chaos was a serious mistake. The hunt was reaching its climax, and the galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't perfect order. It's the beautiful madness of human innovation. Paradigm shift. The celestial observatory hung in space like a beautiful contradiction, a bastion of order transformed into a symphony of controlled chaos. As the Void Weavers launched their final assault, Captain Chen stood at the center of the command deck, her ever-present coffee cup vibrating with quantum possibilities. "They've adapted to the music defense," Wang reported, his hybrid control station sparking with excess energy. "They're using our own randomization patterns against us." "Of course they are," Chen smiled, a glint of anticipation in her eyes. "That's exactly what we wanted them to do. They think they've figured out how to be random." Admiral Vexterra's crystalline form pulsed with realization. "You were teaching them." "More like baiting them," Chen confirmed. The Void Weavers exist by imposing perfect order on chaos. We showed them chaos they could understand, chaos they could learn to replicate, and in doing so, we made them predictable. Wong finished, his fingers dancing across his makeshift controls. They're not truly random. They're following our patterns of randomness. The Void Weavers struck, their now fluid forms rippling with stolen chaos. But as they reached out to unmake the observatory, Dave's coffee maker, the heart of the human's mad science, began to glow with impossible energy. Now, Chen commanded, show them true chaos. Show them humanity. Wong slammed his hand down on what appeared to be an old video game controller. Throughout the station, every human modification, every jury-rigged system, every impossible solution began to activate simultaneously. But instead of working in careful coordination, they each operated according to their own internal logic, or lack thereof. The defense grid started playing classical music backward through the quantum fields. The gravity generators initiated what Wong called a temporal cha-cha. Dave's coffee maker began brewing drinks that existed in 17 dimensions at once. Each system created its own unique brand of impossibility, with no pattern connecting them. The Void Weavers froze, their fluid forms stuttering as they encountered something beyond their comprehension. Genuine, unfiltered human innovation, where every solution spawned 10 new problems that required 20 impossible fixes. This, Chen declared proudly, is how humanity does science, not by following rules, but by breaking them so thoroughly that reality has no choice but to play along. We don't create order from chaos. We surf the chaos until it gives up and does what we want. The ancient entities began to writhe, their perfectly ordered cores unable to process the true randomness before them. They had learned to imitate chaos, but they couldn't understand it. Their very nature, the need to impose order, had become their weakness. They're trying to retreat, Seiler observed, his bioluminescent patterns flickering with excitement. The dimensional tiers are closing. Oh no you don't, Chen grinned. Marcus, initiate protocol butterfly effect. Wong pressed a button that by all rights shouldn't have been connected to anything. Dave's coffee maker pulsed one final time, sending waves of pure probability cascading through space. The quantum fields around the station collapsed and reformed in patterns that hurt to look at. Reality hiccuped. The Void Weavers, caught in the wave of pure human chaos, began to fold in on themselves. Their perfect geometric cores, exposed by their attempt to mimic randomness, couldn't handle the contradictions bombarding them. One by one, they collapsed into singular points of impossible mathematics and vanished. As the last dimensional tear sealed itself, the observatory's systems began to settle back into something resembling normal operation, though normal had taken on a very different meaning over the past few days. Admiral Vexterra turned to Chen, her crystalline form radiating a mixture of awe and confusion. What exactly did we just do? Honestly, Chen laughed, taking a sip from her quantum coffee. I'm not entirely sure. But that's the beauty of the human approach. We don't need to understand exactly why something works, as long as we can make it work. The galaxy will never be the same, Seiler observed, watching as his perfectly ordered systems continued to dance with hints of human chaos. Other species will want to know how we defeated the Void Weavers. Then we'll teach them, Chen declared, not just about technology, but about embracing imperfection, about finding strength in uncertainty, about the power of looking at the impossible and saying, "Hold my coffee." As if in agreement, Dave's coffee maker chose that moment to transform itself into a small fountain of liquid probability before returning to its usual form. Admiral Vexterra, watching the device's impossible display, realized that her civilization had gained more than just a defense against cosmic horrors. They had gained a new way of seeing the universe, not as a place of perfect order to be maintained, but as an endless frontier of possibilities to be explored. The Void Weavers had sought to impose perfect order on reality, but in the end, they had been defeated by humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the beautiful art of making the impossible possible. one improbable solution at a time. "So," Chen asked, her coffee cup somehow refilling itself with liquid that glowed in colors that shouldn't exist, "who's ready to help us rewrite the laws of physics? I've got some ideas about faster-than-light travel that would make your quantum theorists cry." And throughout the observatory, perfect order gave way to perfect possibility, as humanity's chaos danced among the stars.